Hello, everyone. We're back for another E3 review, thoughts, process, sexual integration podcast. My name is Angela Walrus, and I will be your host for today. With me, we have the same people from the Microsoft podcast. We have Ryan.
Hey.
Hello, sirs.
We have Big Ouija.
Yeah,
I love you.
And we have a third guy whose name I forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Well, what's your name again?
If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. They call me Fogey.
Okay, so we have Fergie here, apparently. And today we're going to be talking about the Sony press conference and our thoughts on it. Fuyo, would you like to start this? One thing real quick.
Okay.
One thing real quick before you say sorry. It's because Ryan here did not watch the Sony press conference, so he's going to be a little more quiet on this one.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll just say
Well,
what
And Andre's
games I
a
like.
hater.
Okay. Well, Sony, for people, I guess I'll also use this to explain it to Ryan as well. Started out, Sony came out with all that they already would have shown with a lot of stuff. It was Uncharted 3 was the one that stood out in my mind. Resistance 3, some other big exclusive titles. Unveiled, something that I'm very excited for. I think Ryan's very excited for. Sly 4, Thieves in Time. And then right after that, really, they just jumped straight into their new portable, the PlayStation Vita. Who would like to care to start? You want me to start my thoughts on the thing?
Yeah, go ahead, Fuyo.
Okay. I just want to start out just front first. Just coming into this, I had looked at the list of games that people had announced, and I was like, Sony is having a good year, and they are having a very good year this year. I think I told these guys in between podcasts, I'm going to tell you now, in my mind, Sony this year has exclusives hands down. They're done. Uncharted 3, already, I mean, the second one was phenomenal. Third one's going to be phenomenal. Resistance 3 looks to be a major improvement over Resistance 2, which actually, in my mind, was not as good as Resistance 1. And Sly 4, of course, something that touches me very near to my heart. But I think the one thing that was more interesting, I think, is the more interesting for all of us, is the PlayStation Vita. There was a lot announced. They showed off a lot of games they had in development. They showed off a lot of their big franchises coming back. And they gave the price point. And that was the big thing for me, because I had seen the tech of PlayStation Vita revealed back on previous shows. And I thought this thing was going to be about $350. I thought there's too much tech in this for it to not be up there. And I thought it would be another one of those $599 US, $199 US situations like they have with the PS3. But no, coming up $250, matching the 3DS on price, and for the internet, for the Wi-Fi version, and then $300 for the 4G or 3G edition, excuse me. And I literally in my room was by myself, and I was sort of applauding Sony. I'm like, you learned, and I'm proud of you. And let's be honest. I guess I'll do a quick overview because I was one I think who watched the most about Sony. PlayStation Vita comes with 2 analog sticks, upgrade from PSP, HD screen. It's really good looking. I'll be honest. Touch screen and a back screen on the back. I'm not sure exactly how that'll work. I mean, I've seen how it'll work, but there's just a lot in here. There's a compass. If, say, you are in the Boy Scouts and you need a PlayStation to help you along the way, then sure, you'll have that.
Yeah,
a few other things.
I can see how a compass is going to work for a video game thing.
It's the selling point of the console, I think. I think Uncharted has got nothing on that amazing compass. But in all seriousness, what do you guys think about the PlayStation Vita?
Well, the thing to me that really stuck out from the Sony press conference is without a doubt when they announced that the place that was going to supply the internet for the Vita was AT&T, and then everyone was like, "Oh, really?" Oh, shucks.
There was an audible groan in the audience.
There were a couple of boos here and there, and I was like, "Oh man!"
It it wasn't a $599 situation where everyone was like, "Ah," but you could hear a few people like, "Ah, oh." I mean,
I thought that was hilarious.
hate it for TA.
But now in all seriousness,
Put it this way: when they said AT&T, they dug their own grave. That was really stupid of them. I'm personally, as a company, I probably would have chosen Verizon, just because. Oh my God,
yeah.
yes.
And I'm sure there's things behind the screens, like maybe they got a better deal with AT&T or whatever. But for the consumer, we probably are getting gypped with that.
Well, hey, why do you think the price is so low? AT&T must have been like, we'll supply you internet, but since our internet sucks so bad, you'll be able to drop the price. And they're like, it's an offer we can't refuse.
Okay, yes. And the games unveiled for it, in case you missed it, Uncharted for the PS Vita, a Little Big Planet for the PS Vita, a few different things. They all look good. Look about PS3 quality graphics, below it, of course, I think, but pretty up there. It's pretty darn good look. And I mean, I'll laud it to death, but I do have a few problems that I think that could occur with the PlayStation Vita. And do you guys see any issues with it?
For
right off your head?
When the guy was holding the PS Vita, you could obviously see that it was kind of awkward the way he was holding it. As if it was difficult to hold. And I thought, if you're going to do a press conference on E3 and your guy has some problems holding your thing, it's not the best sign.
That was actually one of my things, Walrus. The PSP, excuse me, was famous for giving people nub disease, where there's a little nub down the corner. I mean, literally, like, I played God of War on the PSP for a while. My hand started to cramp up after playing like an hour of that game, because I was just like, I can't reach down here. And by all accounts, it looks like it's better than what it was, but it's still, now you have two analog sticks. And if you look at it, it's really weird, because, okay, imagine the PS Vita there. You have your two thumbs on the analog sticks, then you have your probably fingers near, like, the left and right buttons. Then you have the back screen. Then you have the front screen. So you gotta have a finger ready to tap the front screen, finger ready to tap the back screen, finger ready to press the left and right buttons, fingers ready to control the analog sticks, fingers ready to press the square, the shake keys, if that's necessary. It just seems like you'll need like a stand to set your PlayStation Vita on to truly be able
it sounds
to do
like
all
the
of that
N64 keyboard, man.
Exactly.
To me, it seems like it's a little bit too much. They might have done a little overbun. They could have. I think they went a little too overboard with the game. Another thing is software, or at least hardware, is a lot of problems that you could see arise. Granted, they're putting a lot of technology into this, so there is a good possibility that it can crash, freeze, and a lot of things that can go wrong with it, as we've seen in the past with a lot of technology that is a little too much into their systems. Example, the PS3 recall, when it first came out, if everyone remembers, when they went backwards compatible, they had to basically recall most PS3s because they totally just broke.
Yeah, and
very little people, maybe 2% of the people have a backwards compatible PS3. Exactly. The famous red ring, etc., etc. I think they might have just jumped the gun, and a little too much to the system. And for me, to be honest, if I really wanted HD quality, I would just play it on a computer or on screen. Reason to play it on the go.
That's another problem with that. I thought, Ouija. I mean, the head guy of Sony has said before, I view the PSP as a thing that you play on your couch. I'm sitting on my couch. What am I going to play? My PS3. I'm not going to choose the play. I don't care how pretty the PS Vita looks. It's still not a 1080 screen for however big my TV is. I mean, it's just not. So I would choose that over in every situation.
But the PlayStation
and like
Vita,
you said,
I think you were the one who told me this,
I think it's more of a luxury item than anything else, to be honest.
But the PS Vita, it almost has the graphical capabilities of the PS3. You gotta remember that. Like, its graphical capacity is
I
huge.
mean, it's a lot of screen space.
Okay, we understand that, Wallace. But what we're trying to say is the big screen. You can why play it on such a small screen when you play it on an awesome screen, surround sound? What is the need? It's a luxury.
That was an
error
from
a better controller.
That was an error from the Sony president going like, it's only to play on your house. Like, when I have a portable, not portable. I'm sorry, oh god, man,
handheld.
Handheld. Wow, my head just zoomed there. If I have a handheld, I'm gonna be playing it when I leave the house. Like, let's say you're going out to your aunt's house where you have nothing to do, and all you have is your grandpa's cat for you to pet. No, you're gonna take your PS Vita or Nintendo 3DS, and you're gonna be playing there. And that's the reason for handhelds, is for when you leave the house, for you to have a video game to play. And
why not just play your PSP? Just saying. If you already have that, why not play it PSP? Why spend an extra $200-$300
on something that's a home that they consider a home?
A decently graphic game that will keep you entertained until you come home. Just saying.
True.
And I'm going to tell you two other problems I have. One, battery. We see that with the actual, I don't know if you guys know this, the biggest drain on a battery is an analog stick.
Really?
That is the biggest. It's not touchscreen. It's not the touchscreen. I've looked this up. It's actually the analog stick, because the touchscreen is just powering the screen. With the analog, there's a lot of moving parts, believe it or not. That's why they only had one analog stick on the PlayStation P, because they could not get a battery that could last two of them. So I'm just wondering now, with that in addition, two screens, two touchscreens, how the battery's going to be. And like Luigi said before, that is a lot of tech in one device. I don't know if I can take it with me somewhere, because this is not a thing you can stick in your pocket. The touchscreen is going to get scratched, it's going to get screwed up, the analog sticks are going to get bent, they're going to get torn. There's a lot of potential breakage with this device. I mean, the DS closes on itself for a reason, because it protects itself. I mean, that was a conscious design decision Nintendo made. And Sony, I mean, I hope at least it comes with like a case or something, because for Christ's sakes, I cannot carry this thing around in my backpack. I just can't. I would have to buy 12 of these.
That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem for Sony. I think they should have put a little more thought into the PS Vita before launching it. Although, for almost a year now, we've been hearing about NGP. Then they come up. They already changed the name. They changed. It did look like they changed a lot.
Well, that was from what we were thinking. That was never an official name. That was what we made up. I mean, everything has a code name. Wii was Revolution. GameCube was Project Dolphin. That was the only two I remember, because Project Dolphin just sounds like the lamest console ever.
Project Natal.
Oh yeah, I mean Project Natal.
Which actually sounds okay.
A funny thing about Project Natal, it was called Natal because the concept of that was the concept of Kinect was created in the city of Natal in Brazil. No, just a little thing about my country.
Word to your mother. But beyond that, I mean, I'll sit there, I complain about this for 5 minutes, and we have all sort of told our bits and pieces, but I think it's still an impressive piece of technology. I mean, if you're a tech whore, you're going to buy this.
But is it too impressive?
I don't know if I'm going to buy it.
Is it too impressive that it could cause the downfall of it?
That's the one thing I'm thinking. And the only other problem I see beyond that, and of course I want to say I still think this device could be crazy awesome if they can get the kinks worked out. Like I said, I mean, these are all complaints, but they're all hypotheticals. And I mean, one last complaint I had was that it doesn't have that hook. It doesn't have like 3DS. The 3DS has 3D without glass. I told that to like my aunts who don't have game consoles and my cousins. They were like floored. They were like, "This is the best thing ever." I showed it to them. They're like, "I need to get one of these." They're like, "This is gorgeous." I told them, "You can get 3D movies on this." They were like, "I'm getting this." With the PlayStation Vita, you'd be like, "It can do the graphical display of an HD TV." They're like, "I mean, that's cool, but I have an HD TV." I don't know if they can reach the mass market. I think handheld market of today cannot just be a small console. I think that in the era of iPhones and smartphones, where you can have Angry Birds on the go like this, where you have these experiences that are just like at the line at store, whip it out, do a level or two, put it away. You need to try to find games like that. You cannot create a 40-hour epic. You cannot create an Uncharted game. I mean, in a weird way, Uncharted takes time. You have to sit down. You have to dedicate yourself. And in the world we live in, if I'm going to dedicate myself to games, it's going to be a console game. Hours of my time. It's going to be a console game. So, I mean, the PSP as a whole, I've never been a huge fan of, but this is probably still really interesting. So if I'm going to follow this like a hawk from here on. I think it's fascinating.
We've been talking a lot about the PlayStation Vita. Now, let's concentrate on their exclusives, because they did talk a lot about the Vita, but they also talked a lot about their new exclusives. Sly 4, Uncharted 3, they emphasized a lot. So let's first, before we talk about Sly 3, because Sly 3 we're going to take like 10 minutes of this podcast since everyone is so psyched about it.
I mean, it's not really. I mean, it was just a video, and I saw there was gameplay later on, but I mean, whole other topic.
Now, let's talk about Uncharted 3 real quick, because a lot of people were going into E3 wanting to see Uncharted 3, because first of all, they didn't even know Sly 4 was going to come out. And Uncharted 3, everyone's like, oh my god, because of how good Uncharted 2 was. So, it's like, in a way, God of War 3. God of War 3 was announced, and everyone was like, oh my god, because God of War 1 and 2 were so amazing, this was going to be the end of the trilogy. Uncharted 3, you could think of it almost as the same thing. I don't know if Uncharted is a trilogy, or if it's just going to continue after Uncharted 3. I don't know that.
I can guarantee you that even if the story of this story arc ends, I guarantee you they're not with Uncharted. Just too much of a moneymaker, critically acclaimed franchise.
But
just let
so
slide.
is God of War, and they did, and
they're making new God of War games.
Yeah, no,
I mean, God of War came out
for the PlayStation,
that fall. Ghost of Sparta, hey.
Yeah, but that's going to be for what?
They're making another God of War for the PS3. I mean, they've already established that.
Oh, yeah, they are, but I thought they could have talked a little bit about it at E3 because of the moneymaker God of War is. Because, let's face it, God of War 3 helped a lot.
But you gotta understand, but I take this philosophy of, you gotta make me want it. I mean, like, you can say, well, I want it this year, but in all truth, I mean, like, it's the same thing of Call of Duty. If every year you see the same Call of Duty, I'm not excited for Modern Warfare 3, because I see it every year. But when a new Halo's announced, well, it was like, what, 4 years since the last Halo came out? I'm stoked for this, baby. Or the number, like 3 came out 2008. That was 3 years ago. I'm stoked for this, baby. You gotta let the fans want the game. You know?
No,
and
exactly.
I mean, and this year is already crowded as balls with other games, so I don't want God of 3 this year, I'm gonna be honest. I don't want another... want to add other thing to the stack of games that I'm going to have to buy.
They need to say, God of War 4 or Ghost of Sparta, whatever the hell it's going to be called. They could, first of all, they wouldn't have time to put it for this year because of how much marketing they have to do for the other games. But they could have made it like Halo 4, like as a counterattack to Halo 4, going like, you know what, God of War 4 is in production. Teaser trailer, bam.
I think Uncharted 3 was enough of a counter to Halo 4.
No, because because Uncharted 3 is going to come out way before Halo 4. Halo 4 is going to come out next year.
They have a lot of time to announce new God of War, and they don't have to set the pace by someone else. I mean, that's the thing of. I mean, even as we're going to talk with Nintendo, I think it's good that they're not having to go with everyone else. I think that's something that each group should try to work on their own time. And I understand it's a business, and it's got to go, but, I guess. Anyways, that, I guess, that's a lot of talk about Sony. I know...
What about Sly 4?
I guess, did you see it? Oh, Sly 4? I mean, there's not enough we can say. Because Andre's heard me and Ryan and Rocky talk about it, he assumes it's this world-changing revelation.
Because I've never played Sly, I've never played Ratchet and Clank, I've never played Spyro, I've never played any of these.
I haven't played Ratchet and Clank.
Never ever. I've only owned a PS2 from Sony. That's all I've owned.
Well, those actually all came out on. Play PS2.
But,
so were the first 3 Ratchet and Clank.
It never really.
First 3 Ratchet.
I don't know. It never really stuck with me too much. Like I didn't see what was the.
Whatever. But beyond that, it was just, it was a very, it was a thing for the fans. It was entirely a game that was just for the fans. It didn't do well. It did not like rock the gaming world. People were not like, oh, winner of E3 because of Sly 4. Like, no one did that. But yeah, I appreciate it personally. And I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
That's all I really have to say about it.
So yeah, now let's go for the roundup. Ryan, from what you've heard of us talking about Sony, what did you think of the press conference? Even though you didn't actually see it.
Yeah, this is going to be really awkward.
Sly 4 gives it another, like, two letter grades higher.
Jeez.
Don't you think
I don't know, I'll
give it emphasizing Sly 4? I mean, it's a
series. We're the only group on the internet that is this excited for Sly 4. Like, out of everything we showed, we love us some Sly 4, baby.
Yeah. It's appealing to the fans, but they announced a lot of exclusives, which is, in my opinion, the best part of E3 is the exclusive games. I'd give it a B, I guess, considering I've only heard about it. I haven't seen it.
Okay, Andre?
I'd give them an A- because they launched a lot of good stuff. Uncharted 3 and Sly 4, really good announcements. PlayStation Vita looks awesome, even though it has its faults, as Fuyo and Ouija said. But other than that, they did what they had to do at E3. They went to E3 and they brought it. They made the fans go into a frenzy for Sly 4, and they made everyone who wanted to know more about Uncharted 3 know about Uncharted 3. So, A- for me.
And I also want to note just some other things I just want to put out there for that exclusive to PS3, just because we've been talking about it. We haven't really given a lot of games. Twisted Metal also coming out this year. Let's see here. Resistance 3, like I said. Pixel Junk side-scroller, which is personally a game that I love. And like we said, Sly Cooper. And looking at all that, I would probably give it a solid... I wish it was like an A, like an A, like not minus, but not an A. I'll just go with the A, I guess, just to be positive on this one. Because, I mean, like I said, in terms of this year, they've, in my mind, they're very close, if not already won. So, that, I guess, brings us to the end of the Sony section. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you thought specifically yay or nay to Sony, just sound off in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you guys, and we'll see you all later.
Goodbye.